I wouldn't be shocked if it comes home. Now, I put that in quotations because I actually don't understand how that became a saying for England because they haven't won since like the fucking 1960s. So how it can be called "it's coming home" makes no sense, and it actually makes me not like them because it doesn't make any sense.
They're definitely
But
easy to root against.
they are. They definitely are.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome back to Calcio Culture, bonus episode of the World Cup coverage that we will be covering for the entire World Cup. We want to welcome new listeners. We are obviously, if it doesn't give it away in the name, a Serie A podcast, Calcio Culture. But we love soccer, we love international soccer, and we are going to cover the World Cup as well. So if you're newly listening to us, welcome to the channel. Please like, subscribe, rate us 5 stars, tell a friend to tell a friend. We are excited for you to come on this journey with us of us covering the World Cup. And if you are a faithful Paisan, welcome back. And this is the start of the bonus coverage that we promised you to have. However, we understand that we are still late and missed the bus, and it is already happening, the World Cup, which is amazing. We are 4 games in. But before we get into it, I'm here with my co-host today, Vos. Vos, how you doing?
I'm excited about this. I'm happy the World Cup's on. The World Cup kicks ass. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome, new people. And like Motts said, we're a little late to the game. We're 4 days into the World Cup, but it doesn't matter because nothing crazy has happened yet. And today, guys, really what we're going to try to give you is just all the information you need, I think, to enjoy the World Cup and kind of understand what's going on. As the month kind of goes on, we're going to try to cover games where we can, like maybe we'll do 1 or 2 episodes a week kind of thing, and go over all the big news that like you kind of need to know about. Think about like ESPN Sports Center of just the World Cup. I think that's what we're going to try to be.
Putting us in some high praise right there. Calcio Culture and ESPN, baby.
We've earned the right. And I think that's how we're going to try to cover it. So on the episode today, we're going to kind of go through the different tiers of teams, we'll call them. Like, right, we're going to give you guys the teams that you need to know about and what you need to know about them to be able to watch the game and be like, okay, I kind of generally know what's going on. I think that's the right way of framing it.
These are Calcio Culture tiers. These are unofficial tiers. But if you...
Unofficially official, yeah.
Yes, unofficially, officially. And if you are a faithful Paisan listener, you know that Calcio Culture almost is always correct on things, right? Like we have Serie A managers and players that do listen to the podcast that we will talk about. And then the next week they will do it because they obviously listened to our podcast. So if you're new, welcome to that. Watch what we say come true. And I'm just going to reiterate it again. For the new followers, like, subscribe, 5 stars, tell a friend to tell a friend, and comment. We do respond in comments. Let us know what you want us to talk about. If you want us to talk about a specific team, cover specific games, please reach out. Let us know. Calcio Culture is back.
I will literally talk about anything. I love everything. You want me to talk about Curaçao? I'll talk about them. Like, I do not care. I love it all. I love it.
Let us know. Comment. I literally went to an Ecuador game. Literally went to the Ivory Coast Ecuador game as I have my scarf here, baby. So comment, like, subscribe, 5 stars. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Get in on the World Cup Calcio Culture episodes. It's going to be a fun time.
Yeah. The other things we're going to cover today really quickly. We're going to go through some of the big games that happened at the end of the episode. And then because we're in English-speaking podcasts and we're in the U.S., we're obviously going to talk about everything U.S. Like when they play, we'll talk about them. We'll get into more detail on them, I think, than a lot of other teams, so everybody can kind of like look forward to that as well. So we'll keep you updated on their journey and do a little bit more of a deep dive on what's going on with the team and kind of how they're playing and how things play out in each of those games.
We also, just to reiterate, if you haven't known, if you can't figure out from the name, we are a Serie A podcast. So we're also probably going to pull out some Serie A league players that do good things in the World Cup. As the last World Cup, a lot of the Serie A players really performed very highly along with the last Euros. So as Serie A players do things in this World Cup, we will highlight them as well.
All right. Ready to go? Want to get into it?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm excited for this first ever bonus coverage episode of the World Cup Calcio Culture Edition. Like, subscribe, comment.
Okay, cool. First section. I think I'm calling this like what you got to know. Like generally, what is the World Cup going to look like, right? I think that's the right way of kind of thinking about this from a team perspective. You know, like I think that's the right frame. And we're kind of going to go through here. And the way that I thought about this, we're not going to talk about every team because that's not realistic to go through every team. we're going to kind of go through the different groupings. We kind of labeled them as the favorites, kind of like the second tier group that they can win, but they're probably just below that first group. The sneaky good teams that are kind of under the radar, but they're not really dark horses. Like they've been around, they've been successful, and they're still here. We're going to talk dark horses. We're going to talk about the scrappy teams that you kind of need to know about because they're probably not going to win, but they're going to make some noise. And then we're just going to highlight, I'm calling them transitioners, like teams that you are probably expecting to be good, but we don't really think they're going to be there for one reason or another. And like you might turn on the game because they might be really good, but I don't think that's going to be the case. And there's only a couple teams in that group. But starting from the top, the favorites of who can actually win this thing, and this is the most interesting group. And these are the games to watch. Like when these teams are on, you want to watch them. They're the best teams in the world. They have the best chance of winning it. And to kind of go through the group really quick, and we'll kind of break them down, Motts, one by one. But here we have France, Spain, England, and Portugal. This I literally went off the betting favorites to in all honesty, because I think that's the right way of kind of breaking these down. Because I think there's probably teams that you're like, oh, I would expect them to be in here. The obvious one, Argentina, but we'll talk about that in a sec. But these are the teams that are most likely to win on paper, at least, in what Vegas is thinking the teams are going to win. And it is for obvious reasons, right? Like we go through these. France has made it to the last two World Cup finals. They're trying to make it a third. Spain won the Euros. They're perennially great. They're a phenomenal team. England went to a World Cup final and then, or no, not a World Cup final. Euro final, back-to-back Euro final, actually. And then Portugal is kind of, I think, of this group, like the newcomer, right? Like they have all these new players on PSG that have won back-to-back Champions League. They obviously have the big names in Cristiano Ronaldo. And that's kind of what propels them here. And that kind of sets the scene for this. And I think the best way of doing this, Motts, is we can either go who you think is going to win, or we can kind of go top to bottom with France. I mean, I think it makes sense to start with France. I think it makes sense to start with France. Okay.
We can go top to bottom. But that's funny that we're going top to bottom and starting with France, because Cal's out the bag. That's who I think is going to win this World Cup. The reason why I have them winning the World Cup is not a logical reason. It's just because I will be in attendance for their first game tomorrow, actually. France versus Senegal, which is a great game. Senegal won the AFCON. So you have the best African team versus one of the best, if not the best European team. So that's a fantastic game. I'm extremely excited. The New York, New Jersey Stadium, I will be in attendance for that with my co-host Logs. For the newcomers that are just listening for the first time, we do have another co-host whose name is Logan. I'll be going with him. So that's why I have France. Right. But now let's get into like the logical reason as to why France is actually in the favorite group.
I think unanimously, they're like the favorite. Like everybody can have another pick, but like they are number one power rank team. And I don't think there's really question around that. Right. I think it would be hard to say another team is at their level.
Yeah. I mean, listen, they have the player who won the Ballon d'Or last year in Dembele. Right. Then you also
on track to win it again this year, and who
Correct.
just won the Champions League back-to-back.
Yeah. And then they, sticking in Paris, right, sticking with PSG, they have Barcola, who comes off the bench there, but is just a dynamite player to come off the bench, is lightning fast. And then they have the trickster, who also plays at PSG, Doué. So they have three guys that have just won the Champions League back-to-back, and I would say probably only one of them is a starter. Right. The other two are Kylian Mbappe and Olise, who has bursted onto the scene at Bayern Munich this past year. And Mbappe goes to another level when he puts on that France jersey. He becomes a killer that he just can't, for whatever reason, find at the club level. But ever since he was a 18-year-old kid, and what was that, the 2018 World Cup, when he scored 5 goals. He scored in the World Cup final. He knocked out Argentina with the insane run and a goal. He just goes to another level when he plays in the France jersey. Hat trick in the last World Cup final, and buried, I believe it was 2 penalties, one to get the hat trick and then one in the penalty shootout. So, and that doesn't even, I didn't even cover their entire attack right there. But you have those players alone are extremely good. And then you have at the midfield, you have a veteran who just eats up blades of grass, N'Golo Kante. You think he's too old, but he's never too old. He's been too old since last World Cup, and he was one of the best players in the last World Cup. They definitely didn't take as many midfielders as I would have liked to have seen, but I think that's because they're probably going to run just a 2-man midfield. So them taking like a Conte and a Rabiot and a Tuchemeni, like you have your three probably starters that you're going to have,
Yeah.
and then Zaire Emery will kind of filter in every now and then. And then their center backs are all so good on the ball, along with just man to man defending in Kunde, Saliba, and Upamecano. And like the level of which these guys are on the ball is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like they're all so good on the ball.
Yeah, I think for France, like the story for them is that coming into this is they have the best attack. Like there is no question about it. They have the last year's best player in the world, probably this year's best player in the world, and Dembele. Like you said, Mbappe's Mbappe, and then Olise all of a sudden is there. Where I actually don't think France is going to win it this year is they haven't gotten better, I think, in the midfield and in the defense. And I think, if anything, they've gotten a little bit worse. And and again, we're going to see them play tomorrow in their first game. And they're playing Senegal, which is actually like, you can't just, that's not a rollover game. Like Senegal is a good team. And I'm really interested to see how they set up, because if I am thinking about this and I'm Deschamps, I'm kind of loading up on the defense and just being like, guys, like somebody's going to score. Just don't concede. That's kind of the way if they're going to win, I think they need to approach it. Because at the end of the day, like Mbappe, Dembele, Olise, Doué, Barcola, like one of them is going to have a moment in every game. Like there's nothing you can do. You can't even man mark them, because you have to man mark everybody. Like it's not going to be helpful. And like for them, it's not going to be a matter of if they score, it's how many they score. And then I think on the other side of things, it's like just trying to clean it up defensively is going to be the key. And then I think the real other area to watch is in the midfield. Like you mentioned Conte and Rabiot, it's probably going to be them, but they're a lot older than they were the last time around. And I think there are questions if they can keep it up for a whole month. Like they are older. This is like you play a lot of games over the course of a month, and when you're older, that can catch up to you. But I expect them to just go back to like what they did well, which is give the ball to your best players. Don't do anything dumb defensively. And I think Teo Hernandez has always been like the best example of that. On AC Milan, like we saw him a ton, like running up and down the field, kind of chaotic. And for France, he's not that. He plays defensively very well as a left wing back, and their defense is fully expected to defend. And their midfielders, Adrien Rabiot and N'Golo Kante's best traits are defending and not really losing the ball. So I expect them to set up that way. I'm interested to see what the lineup actually looks like, though, because they could do a back four. They do like a 4-2-3-1. They could do like a 3-4-3. So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, they're the best team coming into this tournament. Not only do they have the players, but they have the pedigree, right? Like every one of these players has been there, done that. Not only in the World Cup, but also in the Euros. And then most of them also at club level have been deep in scary competitions. So at no point are they going to be uncomfortable, and they go into every single game, regardless of who the opposition is, as the favorite. And I think that probably suits them well, because all these players play with swagger. Like that's just how they play. Like they've all come up in this team and had success. Like Mbappe started when he was 19. Doué started when he was 18. Like they've never not experienced success. And they're going to approach games expecting to win every game and kind of just have that swagger.
Yeah, and I don't want to spend that much more time on France, but the one last thing I'll say, and you kind of touched upon it, is they're definitely lacking in the midfield. Like that's their biggest question mark. And if you play a team like a Spain or an England or a Portugal who can possess the ball, they might not, like they could potentially like get dominated in possession because of a stronger midfield. But it seems to me with who they took, they're going to try to play more so out of possession on the counterattack than have the ball. But the last thing I'll say is I do think only taking 4, 5, 6 midfielders isn't the smartest.
Yeah.
And I do think they probably should have taken new friend of the pod, Kamavinga, to this team or to this tournament. And I think that could potentially bite them down the line.
It could. I think if Conte gets hurt, they're in a ton of trouble, because they don't have anybody else that does that. Like Tchouaméni would be the next logical like D mid, and he does not do the same things as N'Golo Kanté. And if you lose Conte, you kind of have to lose Rabiot, because Conte makes up for a lot of the ground that Rabiot doesn't cover. So I think that's an interesting one. I think that's a really good point, Motts.
Yeah, so we'll see. Moving on to the next team, I think probably the second favorite of the tournament in terms of odds.
I'm not convinced by them, though.
It's going to be Spain. and tell us why you're not convinced.
I think they're kind of similar in the boat of I haven't seen them get significantly better. And this is kind of on the backdrop of they played today and they tied Cabo Verde 0-0. So, and I think I was thinking this before this game, and that's easy to say now, but I am unsure of what this team is, because I think going back to when they were really successful and they won the Euros last time. Yeah, they won, right? They were so reliant on Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams. And I think the issue with that is Nico Williams hasn't really hit that same level. And when you kind of lose him, I'm not sure what this team is. And today was a really good example of what Spain does well in keeping the ball. But I'm not sure that they have. And to be fair, they also did not play their lock
heavy
11.
Rotated guy.
Yeah, there was like Lamine Yamal's coming back from injury. Same with Nico Williams, so they're probably resting them. I just don't know necessarily where goals are going to come from if it's not Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams, and I think that's the only thing that I'm a little bit concerned about. The other thing is I don't know what their best defense is, and the way that Spain plays, inevitably, they're going to get counterattacked, right? Like it might be one time the entire game, but it's going to happen, and I'm not sure Laporte at 32 years old, been playing in Saudi Arabia for quite a while now, is going to be at the level that he needs to be at in those kind of decisive big time moments. That being said, their midfield is ridiculous, and like you can kind of do a lot of different things. Rodri, Ballon d'Or winner, player of the tournament last time out for the Euros. Pedri, I think, is one of the best midfielders in the world. You can put Gavi in there. Fabian Rui obviously just won the Champions League again with PSG, and there's a lot of kind of different ways of playing. I'm just more worried at the front line, like who I think number one, who is their best number 9?
Yeah.
Like, is it Ferran Torres? Is it Oyarzabal?
It's probably
Ferran.
Danny Olmo playing a false 9, maybe.
Like that.
But you're right. You're right. They definitely have question marks on this team. And what I will also say is when they had the Euros, Rodri was peak Rodri. He tore his ACL since, and he has been back, but I don't know if he's reached the same level of that since the ACL surgery. So you're definitely right that they have question marks. Also, in the group, they dropped their points, but what worked for them, and they should be kind of thanking their lucky stars, is Uruguay and Saudi Arabia game. As we recorded, it literally finished like 45 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago. They also drew 1-1. Right. So now it's like that missed opportunity in terms of a draw. Now, I still think Spain gets out of the group, obviously, but it's much different in this style of World Cup, getting out of the group as number 1 versus number 2. Now, do I think Spain could beat Uruguay and Saudi Arabia head-to-head? Obviously, yes, I do. But drawing your first game isn't always the best, and it can lead to a harder path. So I do think they got a little lucky that there was another draw in their group. But there's definitely question marks around them that you bring up, and we'll have to see if they can overcome that. We did see and I also just real quick, I do want to say Nico Williams, to me, similar vein as Mbappe, just plays better for Spain. There are some guys that just play better with the international jersey on. Nico Williams, maybe it's because he plays for Atletico Bilbao and he's not always in the Champions League. We don't always see him that much. When you see him play every game, he just plays better for Spain. What was so good for them in the Euros and why they were able to win was how direct they were. They changed their style of play from 1,000 passes to just, we're going to be direct and create chances and try to score. So we'll see if they continue that in this World Cup.
Yeah, I agree. And the other thing, I kind of throw out the first game, to be honest with you. Like,
yeah, Argentina did lose to Saudi Arabia.
There is a little bit of like getting used to playing with each other. I think for Spain something like they haven't won their opener in like a very long time, basically, was the stat that I saw today. So I expect them to kind of like bounce back quickly. For them, like, they're going to be good. Here's the other thing that I will say. Apart from Lamine Yamal, I feel like teams that win World Cups, great players drag them across the line. Generally, I think that's what happens. And going back to last World Cup, look at the World Cup final. It was like Messi, Di Maria, Mbappe were like fully the story of that game. And Lamine Yamal could be that. I just don't think he's shown for 100% that he's going to be like a guy in this kind of situation that can do that. And
he did in the Euros.
I know he did. So I could be completely wrong. I'm just not ready to say he's 100% at that level yet. You know what I mean?
I don't know, dude. He did in the Euros when he was like 18. Yeah, and then he did in the Champions League. They lost to Inter, but he balled in the Champions League.
Yeah.
But he's definitely coming off a small knock, so we'll have to see if he can find his form quickly.
But Spain, we know what they're going to do. They're going to keep the ball. It's just a matter of if they score. And if they score, like, they'll probably win the game. Generally with them.
Yep. moving on to the third favorites, and this once again is just betting odds. It's not Calcio Culture's favorites. England, different manager, right? So different look. They controversial take on the team, leaving out some big names in
Yeah.
Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, Trent
Yep.
Alexander-Arnold, not in the World Cup team. Now, we also know that I'm just going to call him Thomas. That's the new manager, Thomas Tuchel, Thomas Tuchel. The pronunciation is up for debate. He loves to play a 3-5-2. Like that's what he played at Bayern. That's what he played, or that's what he played at PSG. That's what he played at Chelsea. England's never really played a 3-5-2. So I think it'll be interesting how they line up, if it will be in a 3-5-2 or if it will be 4-3-3 or 3-4-2-1. What that looks like is going to be a big question mark. Where I stand on England to start is, for whatever reason, and I think it's probably because they always somehow underachieve. Now I know they've been to 2 Euro finals, but they lost them both, which with the talent that these guys have in today's game, that England without winning a trophy is looked at as underachieving, even though they don't really have the history to say like they can win trophies because they haven't really won trophies. So because of that, because of everyone's being so used to them not being able to deliver a trophy, I feel like they're not being talked about enough, and they're almost like a very good value bet in that they're not like the heavy favorite. Because player for player, pound for pound, they might be better than Spain. They can go up against France. Like they do not lack in quality with the lineup. I'd also just add, as I mentioned earlier, the guys that were left out of the team. I think that was a good call from Thomas Tuchel because it kind of reminded me of, it goes back to Italy, right? Italy sticks with the same guys, same players, and it's the same shit, right? And they don't change. He said, you know what? Like, I might get shit for it, but I'm going to go with different guys, different players, and we're going to see what comes of it. Now, that is a very, very, the players in which he left off are giant names. Like, Trent's always struggled to get into the lineup because is he a right back? Is he a right winger? Like, he's such a unique player. So he struggles to get in the England squad. But like a Cole Palmer, I know he hasn't had the best season this year, but you're talking about a guy who had 20 plus goal contributions last year, scored in the Euro final last year, and is can create. And then Phil Foden won the treble with Manchester City, can take on a guy, can score from
He's
anywhere.
like an X factor. Like it just, all of those guys, I think with how big squads are and the fact that you get 5 subs, it's surprising he took none of them. Like,
yes,
if you're down a goal, 15 minutes left, you kind of want Palmer, Foden, Trent like available to throw in there.
But if you recall last World Cup, they basically had no left winger because Jude, Phil Foden wanted to all play the number 10, and Harry Kane's so good at dropping in, and Cole Palmer plays 10. So they literally had no width on the left side. So it was really damaging for them. And so he said, listen, we have Jude, we have players that can play that position, so I'm not going to take him. Now, I'd like it because of what I said. It's different, it's new. But if they underachieve, that's what everyone is going to point to. Why did you leave this? Why did you leave these players off? So it's bold, it's ballsy. Will it pay off? We'll see, Cotton.
Yeah, we will. I think what it does tell me is he has a way that he wants to play, and he's going to take the guys that make the most sense to play that way, right? Like with who he left off, he's probably looking for do the dirty work, and like we're going to bully teams through this tournament. Like that's how we're going to get across the line. We're going to play dirty. We're going to play scrappy. We're going to play Italian football, honestly, is what it sounds like. And kind of lean on their guys like Harry Kane, Bukayo Saka up top to kind of make things happen there. And then they're going to go industrious in the midfield and like Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham, I don't know, maybe Kobe Mainu. I'm interested to see what the first lineup is, right? Like, and what that actually looks like and how they want to play.
Yeah. I'm really quick, not to interrupt. I'm really looking at this roster for the first time. Jordan Henderson does not need to be in this lineup. Like, you got to take
I get
Foden
it. I get
Cole
that you
Palmer
want like
over
a veteran
Jordan Henderson,
who's like been around, but I don't like it in this case, especially international tournaments. You just got to take the best players that are for the country and kind of make it work. And I don't think that's what he did, right? And I think it's a double-edged sword of he's playing a specific way. And a lot of time, I think that the right way of playing is letting your best players kind of figure it out in tournaments like this. So they could be really good, or like it could bite them in the ass. And I think we're going to find out very quickly what this team is. But regardless, like in it, like they have some very good players. John Stones, Mark Agee are great defenders. Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice, phenomenal midfielders. And then Harry Kane is still one of the best forwards in the entire world of all time, even.
Yeah.
How do you see it going for them? Because you were saying you like them a lot.
I just like them because people aren't talking enough about them. Like they have lived up to the expectations of what they should be doing. Like before the last two Euros, they wouldn't even make it. They didn't get knocked out of the quarterfinals, right? So they're starting to handle pressure better and get deeper into tournaments, which is gaining the experience that they need. Right now, Harry Kane at Bayern was able to finally get the monkey off of his back of never
Right.
winning a trophy, right? So maybe that curse is broken in terms of he can't win a trophy. But I really see them going deep. I think they can easily win the, not easily, but I wouldn't be shocked if England is if it comes home. Now I put that in quotations because I actually don't understand how that became a saying for England because they haven't won since like the fucking 1960s. So how it is can be called it's coming home makes no sense, and it actually makes me not like them because it doesn't make any sense.
They're definitely
But
easy to root against.
they are. They
Yeah,
definitely are.
yeah.
But
Definitely.
I wouldn't be shocked if they win. I wouldn't be shocked.
All right, and then wrapping up this kind of first grouping of like the favorites is Portugal, who's actually they're my pick to win it. I think they're really good. I think they're extremely good. I think their midfield is the best midfield in the tournament. João Neves and Vitinha are the midfield for PSG, and they just won back to back. And then the guy you add into that is Bruno Fernandes, who just broke the Premier League assist record. So I
And
think that alone,
Bernardo Silva,
and Bernardo Silva, like and that's like there's so many situations like that
Ruben
on
Neves. I mean,
on
my God.
defense. They have Nuno Mendes, who's probably the best left wing back in the world. They still have João Cancelo. Whether or not he even starts is a question. Renato Vega, Diogo Dalot, Ruben Diaz. Like these are all good guys that play at a very high level. And then up top, there's a couple more questions, but you can say what you want about Cristiano Ronaldo. He is going to want to perform at this tournament. Messi won last time. Like you're going to see a different side of him. He's kind of been in Saudi, just kind of like kicking around. I think he's going to be really good. And then Pedro Neto, I think, is still one of the most undervalued players in the world who's going to be a winger. And then you have all these other guys who can kind of fill in on the left if they go that like 4-3-3 route with Rafael Leao, Gonzalo Guedes, and Chico Conceição, who had a great season for Juventus. So I like this team. I think they have zero holes, and I think that midfield alone will carry this team extremely far.
Yeah, the midfield, I think I can confidently say is the best midfield in the World Cup. Where they have holes in it's up top. Like, and for say what you want about Ronaldo, he's older. At the very least, he knows
He's a big
where
game
to
player.
the big game player. He finishes. He's always in deadly positions. And he capitalizes on his opportunities. Right. So even at 41, you can probably think he's going to get at least 2 to 4 goals this World Cup. But I don't love the pieces around him. Right. Like Rafael Leao, he's super inconsistent. Like we know that being Calcio or Serie A coverage. Chico Conceição, good season for Juventus, but his lack of decision making in the final third always is something that we talk about.
What I will say is I think Bernardo Silva is going to play as a
right
winger.
wing. Yeah.
So
Bernardo
then your front
Silva's-
three is
yeah,
Neto, Ronaldo, Bernardo Silva.
that's true. That's true.
Which
that's
is
true.
fucking nasty.
Yeah, that's really
I think they're the most overlooked team for me. I haven't really seen a lot of people taking them as their top pick, and I think they're really, really good.
No, they are really good. They're very good at it. I think they're deservedly in this favorite tier. Their midfield is mind-blowingly good.
Yeah.
Like people forget how good Ruben Neves is, but in the Club World Cup when Al Hilal played Real Madrid, SMS and Ruben Neves absolutely dominated that game and controlled that game. But you have literally the two best pairing midfielders in the world that have won back-to-back Champions League, and they play together, so they already know how to play off of each other. And then Bruno Fernandes is just he's been one of, if not the best Premier League midfielder since in the last 3 to 5 years. He creates so many opportunities. So yeah, they're super, super strong. And they could definitely win it. And if they do win it, what that would do for a career like Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh my God.
Once again, it just puts him that much like, hey, is he better than it's a legitimate argument. And I don't fault people for saying he's better than Messi and if he wins the World Cup,
they're wrong. But they're wrong.
They are wrong. But there's an argument and you can have that opinion.
Yeah.
It's just like the Michael Jordan, LeBron James debate.
Yeah.
But if he wins that World Cup, and Portugal just won a tournament. I can't remember what it was. It wasn't like a big tournament, but they did just win one. I'm blanking on what it was. But listen, if he wins it, what that will do for his career, Ronaldo would have won every single trophy that he could have possibly won in his career if he wins this World Cup, just like Messi. But Ronaldo did it in multiple leagues, and Messi did not. So
Yeah,
what that would
it's
do for
true.
Ronaldo's career would be insane.
All right, cool. So that's like the top four, like the favorites. And then there's kind of like this second group we're going to go through. And we'll try to speed it up a little bit. We're 30 minutes in. Top of this group, and you could, again, I think a lot of these teams you could argue, or not a lot of these. I think these next two teams you can argue as favorites. The first one of these is Argentina, and for obvious reasons. They won it last time. They have Lionel Messi, who's the best player to ever play the sport. And they're still good. For me, I think what puts them back here is they kind of just rinsed and repeat, right? They're bringing the same guys. The only real difference is like Nico Paz might be playing, and I don't love that. This team is gonna go as Messi does, right? Like,
no, I don't at this point. Can you say that for a guy who's, what is he, 38 now? I don't know. That's why I think they dropped, because you cannot expect Messi to have the same World Cup that he had last year. He's been playing in the MLS, so the talent level that he goes against and the speed of which he plays is just less. Like, it just is.
And
right?
And I think the other thing for what helped them last World Cup is Angel Di Maria. Like, he was
huge. Now they do have Nico Paz and Julian Alvarez have taken massive steps. So they do have those players, but Nico Paz has never played in a game as big as any World Cup, right? And what I'd say is that if you kind of your rinse and repeat, a lot of these guys are just 4 years older, right? Like Rodrigo De Paul, he's also playing in the MLS now.
Leandro Paredes,
he's outside of the Serie A now.
I would even say that, like, is McAllister as good as he was during that World Cup? Probably not. I think Enzo Fernandez is definitely better. Like, that is a big player that's going to be important in this tournament. But I think it's, for the first time in probably like 20 years, Messi needs help.
Yeah.
Like, he can't just do it all anymore. Like, there's no way.
So Lautaro has to step up. Julian Alvarez.
And he's never been, like, really a part of the setup. That's the thing that's interesting. Like, in the last cycle, it was Julian Alvarez who was really the guy who was really good. And Julian Alvarez is probably better than he was. But even, like, going back to last World Cup, that was the Messi show. Like, Messi's the reason that they won. 100%.
Correct. Yeah. And then if you look at the defense, like Otamendi's plays for Benfica, he's very old in age. I did like that they called up Bellardi from Marseille. I think he's a very good player. And if he gets some burn, he could get a move to a bigger club. I think he's very, very good. But yeah, it's just, listen, that's why they took a step down for being the defending champs, is their best player who they rely on so heavily is just older, and he's just not playing in European football anymore. So what he's going to look like in this World Cup, it might take him a game or two to get up to speed of it. But then again, he is the best player to ever play, so it might not. But that's why.
I think going back to last World Cup, I don't think they were the best team. Like, they did not have the best player for player team in the tournament, I would say. I think
McAllister and Enzo, like, you didn't know who they were. Like, you knew who they were, but they, especially Enzo, like, kind of created their names in that World Cup.
And they just had, like, players playing right at the right time kind of thing. And that's usually what it takes. So I'm not sitting here saying they're not going to win. I think it's more of an uphill battle than it was 4 years ago.
Yeah. And then the next one, which I don't even think, in my opinion, is, I think that they're below the next two teams that we're going to cover. But the next team we have here is Brazil. Now, in my
people have strong opinions on this team, and people really like this team. And I'm in the same boat as you.
I'm not in that boat, especially after the Morocco game that I watched. They kind of got dominated on that pitch. I'm talking possession wise. They really they can rely on their quality of player, right? Like Vinícius and Rafinha, the last 2-3 seasons have been some of the best players for their club. But the knock on Vinícius is he's the opposite of Mbappe and Nico Williams. He's better for the club than Brazil, and he faces a lot of criticism that he can't perform in the Brazil jersey. I'd also say where I think their big holes are, outside backs.
Yeah.
Very big holes. Morocco was killing them on the width, and then they're number 9. They don't really have a number 9. They're starting, the one that they started last game was Thiago from Brentford, who I just don't think he's really of the level of Brazil national team. Neymar is injured. I don't know if he's going to play. He's kind of just like a mascot for them now. And then I think that their midfield is just fucking old. Like Casemiro's very old. He can't really get it done for United anymore. Fabinho looked like a fridge when he got on the pitch. Paqueta or Paqueta, I don't know how he likes to pronounce it. He was a turnover machine.
Yeah. On
he was
any
a
given
turnover
day,
machine.
You just don't know what you're going to get with him. And he's always been like that. So, like, I get why they're rolling him out there. But like this team just like Rafinha and Vinícius and Mateus Cunha are obviously very good, right? But are those guys good enough to like get you to the end of the tournament? I would say no. Like you need guys to drag you through this
And I
tournament
think
if you're
I
Brazil.
think that once they get to like the England, the Portugal, like the Spain, those midfielders that we listed for those teams will run circles around this
Right.
midfielder. And I'd also just say this: play Endrick, like play the young kid. He's shown some sparks when he made the loan move to Lyon. Now it's different level, but play him. Like he is better than Thiago. Thiago had a header in the Morocco game that was point blank in the 6-yard line, and he missed the ball with his head. So a lot of question marks, and Brazil fans are very unhappy because they've only made a quarterfinal, I think, since the last 3 or 4 World Cups. They lost 7-1 a while ago to Germany. They have been underachieving in Brazil's standards for a long time now. Obviously, as an Italian podcast, we would take what Brazil's done as underachieving any day of the week because Italy can't even make the World Cup. But I think that there's a lot of question marks, but I will say the last thing, and then we'll move on from Brazil. They do have a manager who knows how to get the best out of a lot of players, like especially Vinícius and Carlo Ancelotti. He's always cool as a cucumber. The best. He's won the most Champions Leagues as a manager. He's an amazing manager. So can he do something? Can he kind of provide what they've been missing? We'll see.
Bro, I just thought about this and I totally forgot. He was on the team as Ederson. I feel like that would plug so many holes for them.
Yeah, they took him because somebody got injured.
Yeah, but I feel like that just like
Logan Shout
covers ground, dude.
Yeah, Logan Shout was that he will be starting come the knockout.
I think it makes sense. Like you go Ederson, Bruno, and then like Paqueta as the number 10 or something like that. I feel like that's a guy that can kind of save you because at the end of the day, like their center back, Bremer, Marquinhos, Gabriel, like that's very good.
Yeah, but they play a 4-back, so Bremer doesn't always get featured. But Marquinhos and Gabriel, they both played in the Champions League final against each other. They have a very strong 2 center backs. It's the outside backs that are weak for them.
Yeah. And kicking it on here, next team we wanted to highlight is Germany. And they're kind of a team that's a little bit in transition, I would say, in terms of like where they're going to go, what's next for them. And there's a lot of new guys, right? Like in terms of how they're going to play. And for me, they could go either way. They just demolished Curaçao 7-1, which I personally
Germany always does that. They always finish their breakfast.
They beat who they're supposed to beat. I agree with that. And they play. I don't think they were at their best though. Is kind of my thing. And with them, I think they're kind of in the same boat with like what is the best Germany team. I don't really know. Like I'm not sure that Florian Wirtz is like going to be like your game-breaking player, and they kind of need him to be. Leroy Sané is still playing in this team. Kai Havertz is your number 9, who I think is good, but like he's not going. I don't think he's like a legendary kind of player just yet. Like Jamal Musiala is obviously going to have to be your guy. Joshua Kimmich is going to have to be your guy, obviously. Nico Schlotterbeck at the defense with Jonathan Tah, Antonio Rudiger, like whatever that mix is, it's good. I don't think it's at the same level as the favorites, right? Like
there's also just question marks around like more so their width player. Like Leroy Sané is not really a big time player.
He's not my guy. I'm just not a fan of him.
And then so Florian Wirtz, Kai Havertz, and Musiala all kind of play in a similar spot, similarly, and do similar things on the field that can get tight and around the box, kind of similar to what England faced last World Cup with Jude and Phil Foden. So we'll see. We'll have to see how they work it out. But they like Florian Wirtz. Oh my goodness, Wirtz. Whatever. Florian Wirtz was the most expensive Premier League signing like ever. Musiala has a ball on a fucking string.
Yeah, he's nasty. So, he's the player to watch for this team.
Yeah.
I think the thing with Germany is they're gonna be in every game. Like they're always really structured. They don't do a lot of bad things. I just don't think they're good enough to beat some of these teams. And then the other thing with them, because we're gonna go to this next team, who I think is better than them. They don't do anything really well. In my mind, like they don't defend extremely well, they don't attack extremely well, they don't counterattack extremely well. Like, what is the thing that makes them win games? I don't know, and that's why I don't like it. Like with Argentina, like they have a Messi. With Brazil, it's like if they get you 1v1, they have guys that can hurt you. Germany, I don't really know what that thing is, which makes me kind of like push them down.
Yeah, I agree.
Last one in this grouping, our second tier grouping, right?
Yes, the Dutchmen, Netherlands. They also had a game yesterday. They drew 2-2 against Japan. They came back. I believe Japan scored first and then they battled back and then they got the lead and conceded late.
No, they had the lead twice.
Oh, they had the lead twice. That's pretty poor from the Dutchmen giving up 2 leads and one of them being extremely late. But listen, they are a dark horse. These guys are a dark horse. I
don't think they can be called a dark horse.
Yeah, I didn't mean a dark horse. They can win. I think Logs has them winning or losing in the finals. Logs is a big Netherlands fan.
Yeah.
But they got some guys here, right? Now, their
strength is in defense in midfield. And like they are very, very good in there, right? Like Mickey van de Ven is playing like left back for them. Normally Tottenham Hotspur's center back, extremely fast, 6'4", like huge guy. Virgil van Dijk is one of the best center backs of all time. And then the other guy they've gone with is like Van Heck, who started the last game, but like they could go with Ake if they want. There's a lot of different things they can do. And then Denzel Dumfries off the right, regardless of if he's a wing back or a traditional right back. And then the midfield, you have Tijani Reinders, Frankie de Jong, and then Ryan Gravenberch. Like all these guys play at an extremely high level, are very good at specific things, which I really like. And then up top, they have Daniel Malen, who is one of the hottest strikers in the world right now.
Yeah. And then Cody Gakpo, I know you're not the biggest fan, but he had a very good Euros or World Cup. I can't remember which one it was.
I think it was. I don't remember. It was one of them.
He had a really good Euros, I want to say.
Listen, these guys got to the semifinal of the last World Cup and got bounced by Argentina, who ultimately won it. So
yeah, in very controversial calls. Messi could have had a red card. Paredes could have got kicked out. So, and did it go to PKs? I think it might have went to PKs.
Yeah, I think it did.
Yeah.
I think it did.
I know it went into extra time at the very least because what's his name? Horst scored the late.
Vout, yeah.
Vout, yeah, he scored the late goal. But yeah,
listen, for them,
is a good team. We'll have to.
In my mind, they're going to play like a Spain. Like they're going to have a lot of the ball, and it's the same question that I have. Like who is the one that's going to be converting goals? Because Tijani Reinders can score. Obviously, Daniel Malen can score. And then it's like, who else is the guy? Like this guy, Somerville, he could be like the big guy of the tournament. He had a great first game, scored a goal, was extremely electric off the right. Cody Gakpo, obviously, they need to get a lot out of if they want to win this tournament. But they could go far. Like there's no reason to doubt this team. I think the one thing I didn't like about the Japan game is everything happened the way that they wanted it. They had a ton of the ball. They were kind of shown good opportunities, and they they couldn't like problem solve in that game, which I didn't love, because I think one of the reasons why they were so good last time is Denzel Dumfries. Like getting into the box just being a problem. They never got him the ball or let him try to get on the end of crosses. So that's one thing to watch, like how they problem solve in games.
Yeah, I would also add as well. Now, granted, it was a makeshift back 4. Like when they're in their possession, it turned into a back 3.
Yeah.
But Dumfries plays wing back for Inter in Netherlands. He's kind of playing right back. We know that Dumfries is a good defender, but he's traditionally better in attack, scoring goals, back post, getting his head on the ball. So he is sort of playing out of position, but they tried to get him in his normal position. But it's not a traditional 3-5-2 like in Inter or what he's known for. So we'll have to see how he performs in this kind of back 4 with Netherlands.
Yeah. And that's kind of like the top teams to be watching. I don't want to get too much into these months because I know we're kind of running long on time here. But 2 teams we wanted to highlight as they're not quite dark horses, but they're kind of in there, but they're good. They've been good for a while is Morocco and Switzerland. For Morocco, they got to the AFCON final. Technically won. I forget always how that works.
I'm pretty sure it's in the courthouse right now.
Senegal won. And then my cat's about to attack me. Senegal. Whatever. So anyway, and then they got to the semifinal last time out, right? In the World Cup, was it?
Yeah, correct.
So like they've been around. They have a couple
They're no
really
longer
good
a dark horse.
They're not a dark horse. They play really good football.
They have expectations.
Yes. And then Switzerland in that same vein, they haven't gotten quite as far, but they are perennial in the knockout, usually win a game in the Euros or the World Cup if they get to the knockout, and generally have players that can burn.
Correct. And I'm just going to really quick. Both these guys already played their first game. Morocco obviously played Brazil, tied 1-1. And in my opinion, Morocco dominated that game. And then Switzerland played their game and drew 1-1 to, I believe, Bosnia. I think that was actually Canada. Who did Switzerland play?
I'm checking one second. I forgot.
They drew 1-1 to Qatar with the late drama. I think it was like a 94th minute penalty or own goal. Own goal. So Switzerland not off to the best start, but Switzerland have players that have been there, done that, and Morocco obviously making to the semifinals have Hakimi. They have one of the best young midfielders in the world. I'm going to butcher his name, but Bouadi, so good. Watch out for him. He'll probably end up getting $100 million move to a big team after this World Cup. He was world class in the Brazil game. And then you have guys like El Anawi from Roma. And one other player just got a move to Bayern Munich from Morocco, who scored the goal against Brazil. What's his name? I'm forgetting his name, but he's on Morocco or Bayern. And then Morocco also were able to recruit Brahim Diaz, who we obviously know plays for Real Madrid, got the assist. So Morocco have some players you don't know but are really good. They have some young guys that are going to make their names, and then they have some guys who have been around.
Love it. And then the last kind of two categories we want to highlight here. There's two dark horses that we want to talk about. First is Norway, I think for very different reasons than the other team. For Norway, they have a couple of really good players, and we expect them to just be a really hard team to play. Martin Odegaard, Erling Haaland, Alexander Sorloth are kind of like the big names and that people are going to know. And then in that team, there's other guys throughout that like I think they're going to become more prominent. Like you have guys like Morten Thorsby, you've got Xander Berge, who's been around, Jans Peter Haug, who played for AC Milan and then was very good this year in the Champions League for Bodo Glimt. And there's a lot of guys like this that aren't quite at that like high level, but are around. And I think they're going to be a really hard team to beat. Or they're going to be a hard team to beat. And then between Odegaard, Haaland, Sorloth, you've got your hands full, no matter who the opposition is.
Yeah, they're going to finish. They're going to put the ball in the net. If you guys remember, these guys were in Italy's group for the World Cup qualifiers, and they rolled teams. Now, obviously, you're playing some lower level teams, but I'm talking like 10, 12 goals a game. I think they had like a 20 or a 30 plus goal differential for Norway. So not a lot of big names, but they can make their names in the World Cup. And it's a make or miss league, as I mentioned in the last episode. And when you have Erling Haaland, you're getting goals. So if they can kind of park the bus, play in a low block, defend late in games, they're going to have leads.
Yeah, and then the other dark horse I have is Japan. We just saw them tie 2-2 to Netherlands, which was obviously a massive result. And the name of the game for them is they don't concede goals. They play a back three, very defensive, and they try to hit on the counter, and they're very good at it. They had a great World Cup last time out. They've had a great job in friendlies. And they're a team to watch on that front because, again, defense can win you tournament competitions. That's kind of it. The only other two teams I want to mention is, like, I'm coining them transitioners, like teams that have been perennially good and kind of are on the backside of their peak, is Belgium and Croatia. I don't really need to get into it all that much. Today, Belgium tied Egypt. Croatia has not played their first game yet. But there are two teams that have some legendary players in the team, but they're kind of at the tail end of their career, and the best is behind them. And I think we're going to see a big step back this tournament finally for both of those groups.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Croatia, Luka Modric tipped the cap, probably going to be his last tournament, will probably retire after. They have overachieved in the years, these past like 10, 12 years. So kind of just like be grateful for Luka Modric. And then Belgium, for me, has underachieved in their golden era. They're on their last leg. I think they're going to do what they always do and underachieve. They played today. They drew 1-1. I will say they had a very good second half where they tried to go win the game. They probably played well enough to get 3 points, but once again, underachieving in the first game, drawing Egypt 1-1. That's a team Belgium should be winning handedly, and they just don't do it for whatever reason. At this point, I think it's got to be the fact that Courtois stole De Bruyne's girl, and he just fucking hates playing for Belgium. But listen, like Lukaku, he's got 90 goals, 91 goals as in the Belgium jersey, but he misses chance after chance. They could have done way better so many times, but he misses open goals. He just, for whatever reason, just kind of isn't a big player, isn't a big tournament player for the international side. De Bruyne doesn't do as good, and they just underachieve. And so that's what I think they're going to continue to do.
And they rolled out CDK as their number 9 by himself today, which is not a recipe for success, if you're asking me. But that's kind of the teams we wanted to highlight. Again, guys, if there's anything you want us to talk about, shoot us a comment. Like there's a lot of other teams that we can definitely talk to. We thought that these were the big ones that mattered for everybody. And with that, we kind of want to transition to spend the rest of the episode more so talking about the U.S. in a little bit more detail, because they did play a game. It went very well. And I think people now have a lot of expectations. We can kind of get into what happened there, and then we'll wrap it up with just going through the other notable results that were meaningful. We kind of already talked about some of them.
Yeah. Real quick, before we get into the USA, we don't have them in a tier here, but we have them as kind of a scrappy team, right? So obviously, probably the expectations for all U.S. American fans, like what we would be happy with is if they could make a round of 16 game, right? If they get that far, I believe that would be a quarterfinal, or no, that's a round. The quarterfinal would be the next round. If they make a round of 16, I think we all have to be pleased about how far they went, because once you make a round of 16, anything can happen, as Morocco showed 4 years ago, right? Last World Cup, USA, I believe, came in second in the group because England won the group, and then I believe they got knocked out by Netherlands pretty handedly. So that what they were kids then, right? McKennie, Christian Pulisic, all of them were younger players, really experiencing their first World Cup. They've now played for big games. A lot of them played in the Champions League. A lot of them have won trophies. They're older. This is their prime now. So if, as young kids with not the best manager in the world, you made a round of 32 team with a better manager, with more tactics, with more experience, it's time to get to that round of 16 and see if you can make quarterfinal.
Agreed. I think that you got to get out of the group. And I don't know how you're feeling about them, but I don't know how good this team is. Like, I hate to say it.
I think I'm feeling differently.
Because there's things that I liked. I'm just talking about. I think the Paraguay game is a good way to kind of like talk about the team, right?
Yeah,
I think
obviously they played Friday night a couple Fridays ago.
Last Friday, 3 days ago,
against Paraguay. They dominated it 4-1, or was it 3-1? Yeah, 4-1.
It was 4-1. Yeah,
and we saw a lot of different things. A lot of people had questions about how they're going to line up, how they're going to look under Poch, and you go.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting things. One thing I will say. Paraguay was fucking terrible.
Paraguay was terrible.
I think the right back had the worst game of any player in the history of football. Like he got destroyed by everybody that was near him. But there's kind of two ways of talking about this. I think there's like the how they played and then who played, right? I think those are two different things, and I think they're both important. For me, the biggest takeaway of this game was I saw real modern football tactics for the first time ever in a U.S. soccer team.
Now,
I think that was the first thing that really showed through to me. And they had a clear plan that they were trying to execute. And that was mainly midfielders running in behind from deep. And
then overload the left-hand side.
Yeah, exactly.
The right back was terrible. Now, I agree they had the modern-day tactics. It was almost like a high school level from Paraguay to not be able to adjust.
Right.
Because they're doing the same thing. But
that was the
modern-day tactics is already a win over, I'm
the other shit. Bearhalter?
Yes, yeah.
Bearhalter tactics are terrible. Yes, I agree. And then the other thing that I thought was interesting was in possession, it was more of a back three, which I never thought I would see a day where like the U.S. like actually changes formation in possession, out of possession. And I thought it worked well. I liked that Tyler Adams is kind of dropping in. Christian Pulisic playing as an actual winger off the left was great. And I'm happy where the days are over where he's like an attacking midfielder, because that was terrible. And then I think Flo Balogun is good. I think he's good.
Yeah.
I like everything that he does. I think he understands the position well, and he's going to be the number 9 that kind of drives the game. And then within that, you have Malik Tillman, Weston McKennie kind of helping pull the strings in there. And I thought they were both really good.
Malik Tillman, I was very surprised about. Now, once again, everything that I'm about to say, I texted you and Logan this, couldn't tell like if USA were that good or Paraguay was just that bad.
I think it was a lot of it was Paraguay. Paraguay was bad.
I agree with you. Paraguay was bad. But then I also told you guys that there is something to be said about a team who has a mindset of, let's go kill the game. We want to score goals. If Italy was on that pitch, it might have been 1-0. It might have been a 0-0 draw. Right. So the mindset and the way in which they played is a good start. And going to get 4 goals in a World Cup is a good start. Right. So, yes, Paraguay was bad, but there was a lot of wins to take away and quality things that you could take away. And
yes,
like Zlatan
agreed.
And Henry were saying, like, that's what you want to see from a USA fan. Like, that impressive, no matter who your opponent is, that's impressive. But so for my big takeaways of this game was, once again, I thought Tillman was so good. I also thought Chris Richards was very good defensively. And then in terms of where I was shocked and didn't see coming, and maybe that's on me because I haven't been paying too much attention to them in the friendlies and the qualifiers, Serginho Dest was moved to a right wing, who was mostly a right back in the U.S. systems before. And I thought he played very good at right wing, was playing very good crosses, which Balogun, I would assume, is going to bury those as the tournament continues. He's playing peaches, and they were just so connected up top, playing 1-2s around Paraguay, pass and moving, and just the way the intensity that they were winning the ball back after they lost it in the final third. And what also I think has helped them tremendously is that Weston McKennie under Spalletti has moved into more of a 10 role. And he played in the 10 position for the US, and it allowed Dest and Pulisic to play off of him. And when McKennie was able to link up or play a second striker at some points and allow a Tillman to come in, so that they were moving around. They were playing extremely fluid. They were solid defensively, besides the one mental lapse, and they played as a team. There was one goal where I think there was 20 or 25 passes, and then Gio Reyna, a Trivela goal, this is a big World Cup for Gio Reyna as well, because last World Cup, it was like he wasn't playing, and there was the whole parent scandal, and so he's got to kind of come back from that as well. So, yeah, the parent gate. So, listen, there was a ton of positives to take away from this game. We have to take it with a grain of salt because Paraguay is that bad. But once again, Spain tied Verde today 0-0, even though they rotated their guys. But just because you're playing a worse team doesn't mean you're going to win the game. You have to go kill the game, win the game, and that mindset was fantastic. My one thing that I'm going to quickly say, and then I'll pass it back to you, I did not love taking Christian Pulisic off in the 45th minute. I didn't know why it happened. I don't think he's injured. I don't think he got a knock. You wouldn't see Messi or Ronaldo or anybody coming off in the 45th minute on another nation, whether it's 2-3, 4-0. I can understand maybe something off in the 65th, 70th when the game is killed. But a 2-0 game is not a safe game, even though they look awful.
I think it was 3-0 at that point, right?
Maybe it was 3. It still wasn't.
Three.
It wasn't.
No,
killed
I get
off,
what you're saying. Yeah,
and I didn't like.
But he's a guy. He's a guy that gets hurt all the time. I think that's what it comes down to.
I still didn't like him. Play him.
And on all your points, I liked him a lot. I think on the Dest one, that was Paraguay being bad. Like, he had a lot of bad first touches, like bad fundamentals, I think, for a lot of the game. And for me, that's actually the one guy I would say by the end of this tournament, it's going to be Tim Weah or Gio Reyna playing out there over him.
We'll see. I saw Weah a lot at Juve.
I liked Tim Weah, dude.
For me, he is one of those guys that gets the ball and looks to go back rather than to go forward. Like, he looks to recycle possession rather than take a man on. But he did have a decent year his last year at Juve, scoring, I think, 5 or 7 goals. But also what I don't like about Weah, what he does too much, is he tries to fucking score from 20, 30 yards out rather than, create a different opportunity. But listen, that is Weah's spot. Like, Weah has been the starter there for the last 5 or 6 years. So I was definitely shocked to see Dest there. But I think Dest has earned the right to start next game again.
Yeah, I just think we have Australia and Turkey, and I think those are very different battles here. I think with Australia, they just beat Turkey, so they're going to kind of be feeling good and bring it to the US. And then with Turkey, that's like a real, like, modern kind of team you're going to be playing with really high level quality players. And I'm interested to see how this team shows up against them. What I will say, the area of the field that definitely worries me is the Richards-Ream pairing. I think if this team is going to get hurt, that's where it's going to get hurt. Tim Ream's a lot older. Chris Richards, I'm not 100% convinced by just yet. On their day, they're a very good pairing. But I think that the way this team played, and this happened against Paraguay, which I think is saying a lot, there ends up being a lot of 1v1 defending for them. Like, and they're running back, and it's either a 2v1 or a 2v2 or a 3v2, like, kind of thing. And I'm worried about that against really good teams.
Yeah, but I feel like because of Paraguay, they were obviously overcommitting, trying to score goals. Like, once they're playing a better team, they might not play as progressive, as overloading, and then they'll defend in numbers.
Yeah, but even I think in that, like, this team, is this team equipped to sit in, like, a low block?
I mean, Chris Richards plays for Crystal Palace. Like, they are sitting in a lower block.
But those players ahead of him, like Dest, Balogun, Pulisic, need to participate in that low block. And
Pulisic definitely will. He's fucking played under Allegri.
Yeah.
We'll see what Dest looks like. Weston McKennie knows it. We'll have to see.
I like Tyler Adams, yeah.
We'll have to see.
I don't know what this team's peak is. I'm not sure this is the best U.S. team is my point. Like, I think last time out, we were maybe better.
No way, dude. We're way better this time. We have a real number 9 in Balogun. We have Christian, who's older. Weston McKennie, older.
Is the best he's been. Tyler Adams, yeah.
Yeah. Tyler Adams used to be the captain. Tillman, I really liked what I saw from Tillman. Chris Richards, once again, they just won the Conference League. So, Anthony Robinson always been a solid player for the U.S. So we'll see. I'm round of 32 or round of 16 is the minimum for me, and then hopefully they win, and then we just see what happens.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think we're going to get a real good idea who they are.
And we're
during this next
recording
game.
this on Monday, so their next game is Friday against, I don't know.
Australia.
Is it Australia?
Yeah.
So yeah, Australia at 3:00 in the afternoon. Who Australia beat Turkey 2-0, which was a big win for Australia. So we want to
massive.
win that game as well to top the group. But yeah, more to come on coverage on the USA. We kind of covered some of these games as we went through, but obviously just quickly rerunning through the games that happened.
I think the big results, right? We alluded to them. Brazil tied Morocco 1-1. Australia beat Turkey 2-0. Germany beat Curaçao 7-1. The Netherlands tied Japan 2-2. Spain tied Cabo Verde today 0-0, and then Belgium and Egypt tied at 1-1. And those were kind of the big games that's happened. Again, guys.
Well, there's one more big game that you didn't cover, and it was the Ivory Coast Ecuador game.
Great game. It was a great game.
That Logan, myself, Vose's younger brother Chris, and my friend Lou went to. We checked off the bucket list. First ever World Cup game for me. It was in Philadelphia. We had freaking fantastic seats. We were like right behind the goal, second level. Such good seats. Now there was 65,000 people in attendance to that game, and about 63,000 of them were Ecuadorian fans, which was tough because I wanted to root for Ivory Coast. And most of us were going into that game, we're going for Ivory Coast, but we saw nothing but a sea of yellow. In our fan section, there was literally not one Ivory Coast fan. It was all Ecuadorian fans, which made the people that I went with turn and become Ecuadorian fans, which is frustrating because obviously Ivory Coast won 1-0 with a late 90th minute goal. But the game overall was a very, very fun game. There was a lot of opportunities, not a lot of goals. We saw 3 people hit the crossbar, but at the game, in terms of what I took away, the atmosphere, electric to start. The national anthems, the flags on the field, very, very cool. I do kind of like how they bring out the entire squad because everyone represents the nation, right? It's not just the starting 11. So I do kind of like that. The Ecuadorian fans were electric in the first 30, 40-ish minutes. But the second half, both the Ecuador squad and the Ecuador fans just fucking quit on each other. Like there was times when the fans clearly needed to interject some energy into the Ecuador team and they just were dead. I don't know why. There was 63,000 of them. I don't know how they couldn't get a little bit of chance. It didn't start again until like the 90th minute for whatever reason. But in terms of the standout players that when I was there, Fofana, although he didn't have that good of a match rating, was all over the pitch.
I'm convinced match ratings are bullshit.
Yeah.
Like I just don't believe in match ratings anymore.
He was like they are over the pitch.
I thought he was good too. I thought he was good, and I thought Kessié was good too. I thought that was a really strong pairing.
I thought Kessié was good, but like I'm telling you, dude, like Fofana was just literally whenever the ball was in the middle of the pitch, he was on the ball. Like he had such a good game, in my opinion. Diomande, oh my goodness, this kid's a star. He's easily worth $100 million. He was barbecue chickening Nkape, who's a very good defender from Arsenal, but he could not stay in front of him. He played so good. Who else jumped off the field for me? That was really it.
I thought that I'm pulling up the lineup. On the Ecuador side of things, I thought that
Pacho was really good in person.
Yeah, Pacho's very good. I would agree with that. And then, I mean, Ener Valencia, I've been a fan of for a really long time, but he's on the other end of his career. The Ecuador striker. I've always loved him. I thought Nicolas Pepe was not very good also.
Nicolas Pepe was not very good. I thought Caicedo was kind of invisible, to be honest. I thought Fofana kind of dominated him. And even, in fact, in the last 80 minutes, Caicedo was kind of just fucking fine with the loss. Like they were not trying to go forward. It was kind of embarrassing. And then the
other thing is like off the bench, like Ivory Coast have Kasuno, Boni, Amad Diallo, Sangare all come off the bench. Like that is really good.
Yeah,
but like that's a full fucking team.
Yeah, no, Boni's very good. I'm trying to think who had the assist.
I'm just worried about them. They were like a little bit like chaotic though. Is the only thing.
Wilfred Singo had the assist, right?
Yeah, he was good too.
Oh my God, that run that he made, he flew down the right-hand side. And yeah, so obviously I was nervous that it was going to be a 0-0 game, the first 0-0 tie of the World Cup because obviously that game was before the Spain game. Real nervous, very happy that we saw a goal. It was a late drama goal. But if Ecuador scored a goal, oh my God, the roof would have came off of the fucking link that doesn't have a roof. It would have been electric. We were all kind of hoping to see that.
Yeah.
Didn't happen, obviously. But
listen,
great
it was
game.
a good game. Even if it was a 0-0 game, it was a great game.
Great game. Ivory Coast, they played good. We'll have to see what happens when they play a little bit stronger of a team, but I think they could be a dark horse. They beat France in the friendlies earlier before the World Cup. But going to Senegal, France, or France-Senegal tomorrow with Logs, maybe we'll do an episode on Wednesday talking that game and the atmosphere because I am so extremely excited for that game. Just the players on that pitch are going to be insane no matter who France rolls out. Senegal's got some big names with
Nico Jackson, Sadio Mane, Diao.
He's the best player in the world. I'm being serious.
Koulibaly, Idrissa Gueye. This team is good.
Yeah, it's a very good game. So I'm extremely excited. Hopefully I can get another scarf, maybe get something else. We'll see. But yeah, listen, this is kind of a little bit longer of an episode that we would like. Probably going to be a little different format moving forward. But we know that we missed the pre-coverage. So we gave you a little bit of pre-coverage, even though we're 4 days in already. Moving forward, we'll kind of do a standard Calcio Culture episode.
Yeah.
Break down 2 games, 3 games, highlight some players, highlight some Serie A players. Maybe we'll give you somebody that we think will be breakout star of the tournament, who will earn a big money move, things like that. But more to come when we can get out episodes on this World Cup. We'll do our best.
Yeah. So you guys know we usually post on Mondays for the World Cup. We're definitely going to still do Mondays, but we might just drop shadow episodes here and there when we see fit, when we have time. And again, really important. If there's anything you want to hear about, shoot us a note, comment, literally comment. We read everything, try to respond to everything. Otherwise, we're going to talk about what we want to talk about.
Yeah.
So that's about it.
All right. So once again, if you are a new follower, welcome. Comment, like, subscribe, rate us 5 stars. If you're a faithful paisano, we love you. We appreciate you. We apologize for the small hiatus, but we're fully back now.
3 episodes will be dropped in the span of 24 hours, so we're fully back.
Vos, you want to take us away here?
What are we taking away? What are we saying?
Comment, like, subscribe.
You just did that.
Okay, fine. I'll take it away. Comment, like, subscribe, as I just mentioned. 5 stars. You can find us on all streaming platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcast, Instagram, TikTok, Calcio Culture FC. Comment, like, subscribe. We are excited for this World Cup. It's going to be fun. Hopefully we continue to grow the pod, get some new followers in here. Thank you for all the faithfuls. We apologize again. This has been a good episode, fun. See you on Wednesday or Thursday, hopefully, to talk France-Senegal. Do not be a gagoose, and Forza Calcio Culture.